All right, and we are on for week 9 of Fantasy Football Preview. We're doing a show. I'll spoil it a little bit. We're doing it on a Wednesday, like usual, but we're a little rushed this week because there's something happening in another sports world that some of us were ragging on another member of this panel for.
Nobody knows who
because
you're talking about.
He cares more about catching Game 7 than concerning himself with preparing for fantasy football, which obviously is the more important event happening this week. So, again, no names, Mark, but it's all right.
Over. Just keep the train going. Over.
Hey, you're pointing to me. At least on my screen.
That's all right. So we're here. We're going to get you ready for another week of fantasy football. And Christ, what a week it was, especially in our league. We'll dive into it in a little bit when we get to right and wrong, but I lost, but I couldn't have done anything wrong, else. I literally did all that I could. I don't know. We'll get into it, but so we'll start with some quick headlines and injuries. Headline for the week, man. I think it's got to go down to Brady and Peyton.
Ben Roethlisberger, come on.
I mean for the upcoming week.
Oh, the upcoming week. Oh, okay.
You got Brady and Manning going at it again. Probably, unless they meet in the playoffs. I don't see them meeting up again. This could be it. So.
Breaking news just now. Let me make this announcement right now. RG3 will start on Sunday. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Max, this is a fantasy podcast or fantasy show. RG3 has nothing to do with fantasy.
Pick him up.
He's irrelevant.
Pick him up.
Well, so there's that. Colt, hey, looking at that game though, while you mention it, there's talk. I think I mentioned it on here last week. There was talk that he might go. They were considering it, and if that was the case, I was going to say that Jay Gruden is, barely half a season has lost control over the decisions he makes on that team. But what do you think of Colt McCoy? He did it. He went down. He went home. So it was home on the road for him, and he went down there and led his team to some clutch drives and, shed that whole Browns image that he had where he couldn't do anything and proved me wrong. I was really critical of him last week.
Rob, I'll field this question, if I may. As the only person on this panel to pick Washington to win that game and last week's bold prediction, I saw it coming. Exactly like that. I just didn't want to. I kept it brief for the purposes of the show, but yes.
Exactly like that. You predicted Romo would go out for.
Back injury, Whedon touchdown. I had it all written down.
And also, while we're talking about Colt McCoy, having the highest completion percentage in Browns history for a complete game, like 86, I think it was.
Yeah,
Browns.
Washington.
I'm sorry, Washington. We were talking about Whedon and Colt McCoy, and I was thinking.
How crazy! The funny story that Philly paper quoted Pat Shurmur on this, former Browns head coach, now Philly offensive coordinator. He said it was weird sitting there watching two of his former quarterbacks on Monday Night Football. You had Whedon and McCoy going against each other for a little bit there. That's just weird.
He must be a horrible coach. And that's the one real takeaway from that Monday night game is, once you get that Cleveland stink on you, it takes a couple of years to scrub that off. The NFL system has to churn you through. You have to pay your dues, and you rise again. In my mind, they're rookies.
Like a phoenix from the flames.
Even Whedon looked decent.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's a guy that got trapped under an American flag, and now look at him now.
They should have kept him in there, man. They should have kept him in. I'm a firm believer.
I disagree with you guys. I was watching some of those throws, especially on the run. Colt McCoy could not complete a pass on the run to save his life. These guys were wide open. He just looked like an average quarterback, and he had a rushing touchdown, which saved his fantasy day. But
no one was starting him.
Huh?
No one was starting him.
I think that the star of that game was the Redskins defense that just came out and said, listen, we're going to let DeMarco Murray do what he does, but everything else we're going to stop you at. So
his passes were caught. To say that his passes looked terrible.
On the roll?
They were caught.
Whenever he was on the run? Whenever they were doing the sprint outs?
He only missed.
I got to tell you, I know it's a big part of the game, especially in the NFL, where you're getting flushed out a lot, but It's tough to find a middle of the pack average quarterback that does complete a lot of passes on the run.
It's true.
And you have to also factor he hasn't. This was the first game he started in like a year and a half, so there's going to be some rust. I've always been a Colt McCoy believer. I think he's better.
I always wanted to see him do well.
He's better than his time with the Browns suggests. So
everyone's better than their time with the Browns.
You can say that about anyone.
So there's that.
And just remember, with Colt McCoy, no means no.
With that, getting brushed away with that interview, that was awkward.
No means no.
No means no. Shutting out ESPN Deportes.
Awesome.
Oh man! But sticking with that game just for a second, we sort of touched on it, but Tony Romo is back, looking just ahead at injuries for this upcoming week. We'll start with him.
Too soon, Rob. Too soon.
I know. Looking back on his back. He is saying that, I don't know. He's saying if he feels, obviously this is like a thank you, John Madden, but if he feels fine, he'll go. I don't know, even if he says he feels fine, I don't know that he's going to be fine. I don't know that he's going to be fine again in his career, because that's just an injury that is, it's sort of like an Aikman thing. It's creeping up on him.
Yeah.
It could definitely spell the end sooner than you think for Tony Romo.
He looks younger than he is. Everybody forgets how old he is, but he's getting up there, really up there. And back injuries are nothing to mess with as guys get older.
No, so one more good shot like the one he took, and that's, at least the end of this year. So
when they put him back in, and like his second play back in, when he got blasted and fumbled, I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead. That was like a harder hit than most quarterbacks take in an entire game. It was unreal.
I have to ask everyone this because I was thinking it the whole time I was watching that sequence. When he was like pacing on the sidelines and like begging the coaches to let him in, like, let me guide the team to victory in the last second drive. Did anyone else think like some sort of hilarious interception for a touchdown was going to happen?
That's the ending to that story, the Romo story that's always been.
And it was there. First he fumbled it and they should have recovered it. Then he threw a pick and the guy didn't catch it. That's how you know things are different for Dallas this year. That fumble.
It would have been a pick six.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
Oh man, but enough. I'm done with the rest of the NFCs for the rest of the show. So just quickly, other injuries to keep an eye on. Trent Richardson was active but didn't play last week. Colts have a bye coming up, so don't expect him to go this week. Ryan Matthews, San Diego needs him. They lost 2 straight, and their Oliver isn't looking so great. And he was only. Matthews was only supposed to be out 4 weeks. It's been 6, so not sure what's up there. He had his MCL sprain. They're trying to get him back. I don't know. Out in Miami, they might need him, but that's a tough defense in and of itself.
Matthews is soft. He won't play.
Yeah, we'll see. Wouldn't be surprising at this rate. He's already missed double the time that he was supposed to be out. Sproles will be back. Jordan Cameron, Cleveland tight end, was having an okay year. Had a concussion though this week. Has a history of those, so don't expect him back anytime soon. Owen Daniels had a scope put up his knee, was expected to go last week, did not, and recovery is still sort of iffy. It's more of a week-to-week thing than a day-to-day thing, so keep an eye on that. Gio Bernard's hip hasn't practiced this week, so keep an eye on that. Brian Quick went out, St. Louis's top wide receiver, season-ending shoulder injuries on IR. And then Reggie Wayne, AJ Green, and Calvin Johnson, who has a bye this week, will all be back in there next week. So Wayne and Green are expected to go this week, and Calvin should be back after the Lions bye next week. So there's all that to look at and go dig off the waiver wire.
Before we get into right and wrong, I know this is a fantasy cast, but I want to talk about a specific game. Did anyone get up early and watch the London game?
No.
I was up early, but I did not watch it.
That game is a top 10 ending to any game that I've ever seen. That game was entertaining.
The false start?
Yeah.
Everything.
Second half. The fact that they were down 21-0 and then Atlanta didn't score a single point in the second half, and then just the way that everything happened with their passing it, the Falcons are passing it when running out the clock wins them the game. It was just amazing. A comedy of errors.
A massive stroke of failure.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you just love to see that kind of stuff. But I don't. It's just so entertaining to watch it.
The one-upsmanship. You're gonna call a timeout? Well, I'm gonna run it again. I knew it.
Right. Like
Give me this field goal. I'm gonna take a delay of game.
yeah, there's a crazy thing that happened that no one really talks about is on third down when the Lions were on their final drive, they ran the ball on third down with like 20 seconds left, and they had no timeouts. So if that run is successful,
They have to scramble a field goal.
they scramble a field goal, and there's no way that happens. The Falcons got called for a defensive hold, which stopped the clock and gave them a first down. It was amazing how poorly Atlanta did.
And it gave the 5 yards back on the delay of game.
The delay of game. And then that field goal missed, and they got the second chance. It was unbelievable. It was so good. It was so good.
Crazy.
That's all I had to say. And I also just love the concept of a 9:30 game. Let's just have football all day long.
Why not?
Early in the morning, football all day, football for 14 hours or however long it is. Fantastic. I love the idea.
That's unreal. I definitely hope they do that 9:30 game again. So I did not get to watch this one, but it is a neat concept to have just literally football all day.
It was cool. Yeah.
I have a better idea. Just the NFL should flex its muscles and schedule 3 a.m. Saturday night, 3 a.m. Eastern, just to see if people watch and talk about it.
Yeah, well, the riskiest thing they do is the double Monday night game on week 1, because that goes until like 2 in the morning.
No, I'm talking about starting the game middle of the night. See how many people-
It's just a 3 a.m. game.
If you make it a good one, if you made it like Patriots Broncos,
if you get ratings off of that, you can do anything. You don't have to worry about damage
The world
control.
would stay up for that.
Goodell doesn't have to give lip service to like domestic violence or anything. They just know that they own you. They can just do whatever they want and have impunity.
Oh, that's crazy. What's funny? I saw this circulate through Facebook, people sharing it this week, but it was a really old story, and it's obviously only because Baltimore and Pittsburgh play this week. That story, I don't know if you guys remember, like 5 years ago when the Ravens were complaining about playing night games in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And they were just tired of it, and they were complaining to the NFL, like, don't schedule these night games because Pittsburgh knows how to get their fans up and can, like, tilt the advantage in their favor and win games. Like, it's unfair.
That's the lamest thing I've ever heard. Like, how can you be a fan of that team and like have respect for the team that you love? Like that is some serious whining.
Yeah, I'd like to just point out that 5 years later, the Ravens have won the last 2 games, and they've both been on Thursday nights. So
Why doesn't everybody just complain about playing in Seattle? No,
that's
it's so hard.
Move them. Move that team.
They won on a Sunday night too. I was at that game. It was maybe like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They won easily.
They complain and then they go out and win. So whatever. All right, I guess we got to move to right and wrong, and I want to let the left side of this panel take over before Seth and I just go at it because it was crazy. So we'll hold off on that. So Mark or Max, who wants to start?
I'll start quickly. Which is my tagline this week. I violated the #1 fantasy rule, and I made homer picks. So what happened was Carson Palmer, who I've been waving the Carson Palmer flag heavily all year.
You sat him this week?
Hold on, because he was going up against the Eagles. So I didn't want to have to root for him when he was going up against the Eagles. I also benched the Eagles deep. Carson Palmer in our league threw up 28 points, and I substituted him for Cam Newton, who got 4 points. That lost me the game. So it was tough week. I violated my rule, and I deserved to lose. I got what I did.
Cam Newton against the Seattle. I mean, it's not even like you're like, oh, Cam Newton's got a really soft matchup. You know, you just literally went by homerism.
They just lost to the Rams.
This is ridiculous.
They just lost to the Rams. And Arizona, and I mean, the Eagles D is also good. So I mean, I don't know.
That's a homer thing to say.
Yeah, it is. I know. I fully admit it, and I got what I deserved. I lost. I didn't deserve to win.
And he threw 2 bombs too, so they were some big points for him.
Cam Newton stinks. I'm on the verge of cutting him. Thanks.
What do you want from him? What do you want for him?
A bag of chips. I'll take a bag of chips.
No deal.
So that's what went wrong this week for me.
All right, Mark.
Nothing to report. I couldn't march out a lineup that would result in a win. I played pretty well, but I got beat. What can I say? I lost by 9, and I think I put out my best lineup. So unless I magically transported like fresh players and go back in time and update my roster and lineup, it's not happening.
Gotcha. Well, Seth, I'll start.
Okay.
I want to flash this on the screen real quick. I'm gonna share this. This was my fantasy score this week. I had a couple
coaching
holes.
blunders.
A couple holes, and you'll notice. The Bryce Brown pick.
The
I
peaks
mentioned him last week. He did not come through.
I'm glad we spent 20 minutes on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gavin Escobar. That was me taking a chance that Washington would focus in on Witten and Gavin would be left open and put up monster numbers again for a second week. That didn't happen. But still, this is easily the best fantasy output I've had all year.
Wait, were there players on your bench that performed?
The only move that I could have made was putting Doug Baldwin up into the wide receiver spot for Eric Decker and I could have sat Bryce Brown and put Alfred Blue there, which would have left me with 2 Houston running backs. Blue put up 6 points, I think, so I could have gotten 5 extra points.
Okay.
So that was the only move that I could have made that would have upped the score, just slightly. But still, an incredible fantasy output. So almost 150 points. So my big names came through. The Dolphins defense, I picked them up this week going against Jacksonville. They scored 2 touchdowns. I mean, basically, and they were up in like the 36-point range up until they allowed a late touchdown to the Jaguars. So great, Cody Parkey, fantastic. Up and down the lineup, it was just.
Don't be fooled. In our league, that's one field goal.
I know. But that's true. It was. But then let me go to this, and this is what happened. This is what I went up against. 180 points.
Stop moving. We can't see it.
By our man Seth over here, who I mean everything that all the single digits that I had were replaced by double digits on his side. I mean, what do you do?
That stupid Atlanta kicker, man.
What do you do?
I'm just stupid. Why did I have to pick Matt Bryant? Best coaching of the year. That's unbelievable. I could not have done anything else.
Nope. I've never seen, and just to put things into perspective, we've been doing this ESPN league with these point structures for how many years now? 5, 6?
Yeah, 5, 6.
I've never seen that. So, kudos to you, Seth.
Go ahead, Rob.
I know I have nothing. I'm speechless.
And honestly, that's what went wrong for you. You only put up 150 points.
I know.
That's what went wrong. You only put up. But the only thing I will say to kind of like pat myself on the back is last week, big, bold decisions. I predicted Mark Ingram was going to have a monster game. I said top 3 of the league, or top 3 of the week, and he definitely came through. And I was debating whether or not to start Shane Vereen, who was coming off a 25-point wing, or Mark Ingram. And if I would have started Shane Vereen, I don't know if I would have lost, but it definitely would have been a lot closer because I think he had like 4 points. So everything I talked to my team, I hyped them up. I said, "Listen, boys, Mark said it best. One more loss and we're done for the season. Every game is a playoff game," and they came through. So
unreal.
I kind of was beating myself earlier on in the season for not picking. I passed up on Julius Thomas, and I went with Gronkowski. And now Gronkowski finally looks like he's, playing the best that he's ever played, at least this season. He's a number 1 ranked tight end right now. And Brandon LaFell, I've been a huge Brandon LaFell fan. If you guys follow us, I know last year and the year before I've been talking, and I was just watching him play in the games. He makes stuff happen. It's not just like, oh, he's wide open, Tom Brady. He'll make people miss. He's a big, strong wide receiver. So I think going forth, I feel confident about the connection that Brady and LaFell have. So I have to see what percentage he's owned in the league, but it was a good week. It was a good week.
To say the least.
I gotta tell you this. I gotta tell you this, and this is just horrible. And I know Karma's gonna bite me in the ass for this, but so I'm watching the game. And I'm like, you know what? If I just get up 20 points on Rob, I'll feel good. Like 20 points, even if that guy matches what he did last week, that'd be 18 points. Gavin Escobar puts up.
Yeah.
I said I should still win. Well, then like Mark Ingram finally gets me up over 20 points, and I say, you know what? If Ingram just scores a touchdown, that's all I want. Just score a touchdown, Ingram, and then I'll be fine. And he snaps like a 20-yard touchdown run. So now I'm up by like 30 something. I'm feeling good, but my number is 179, and I'm like, how many yards do you have, Ingram? 168. You only need like 2 more yards to get me 180. I was like, that number just looks nice. It's a pretty number. 2 curves on the end of that 8. I said 179. That's kind of ugly. And people would be like, oh, you only scored in the 170s. I was like, come on, Ingram, let's get one more. And sure enough, it was like the game was out of hand. No reason for the starters to be in, and they give Ingram a 6-yard run up the middle to put him over to like 172 yards. So. Yeah, that was my story. I felt a little guilty about that.
It's all good. Hey, when you put up numbers like that, you can feel, whatever. I mean, yeah, it's unbelievable. So, I mean, I can only pray that my team continues to put up numbers like that. I don't know that it would happen, but still, I'm sitting here. It's like the thing with me is like I put up those numbers, and it just always happens to be against the team that's going to score a little bit more. So that's just been the story of my season. So I expected it. So the other thing was you were up way early, so it was really a huge mountain that I was climbing. And to even get close at the end of that, and at least it was respectful. At least it wasn't like 180 to 60 something,
I don't know if this number's correct, but at least in ESPN leagues, it said Brandon LaFell's owned in 22% of the leagues. So
he's out there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to change now, but or if the numbers are updated. Pick him up. He's a stud. He's a great wide receiver. He's not going to have 20-some points every week, but he'll get you them numbers.
Cool. All right. Well, enough dwelling on that past. So I guess we are dwelling just a little bit longer. Quickly for the MVPs of last week. I mean, is it anyone other than Ben with his 5 TDs and top 4 all-time passing yards? So is that consensus pick?
Yeah, I want this.
Yes.
Outside the box.
Question: how many touchdown passes did Foles throw last? Was it 7 or 6?
7.
Okay. That's the only thing that keeps this from being the greatest single game performance of all time.
Sure.
They should have thrown it more. They should have gotten the record. I
agree.
Yeah,
I
it's one
wanted
of the most
30-some yards.
Yeah, it's one of the most prestigious records in football.
Yeah.
Go for that. Go for it.
Yep.
Lame.
I guess he's the only quarterback in history to have 2 500-yard games. So that's something.
Yeah. And he has 2. Yeah, you said he has 2 of them, right?
2 of them. Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, looking ahead. Oh, go ahead. What do you got?
I was going to say that Antonio Brown. He just looks like a stud this year too. I know that sometimes they force him in to get the ball to keep his 5-game records, but there's some catches that, I mean, I know he's not a big wide receiver, but he looks like freaking Calvin Johnson out there making the catches. So I think he definitely deserves a nod or 2. Constantly getting open, putting up numbers. I think he's the number 1 fantasy wide receiver. Let me check. But yeah, AB.
He's number 1.
He is? Okay.
He's in our scoring.
Yeah. I got him as 1. Cool.
I got one.
Okay.
Larry Fitzgerald. And the reason behind this, he had a decent enough game, 160 plus a touchdown. But the rationale is he has like an 81% start rate, and he shouldn't be started really in any format. So what he did was he bailed out people for making bad decisions, and teams that like overdrafted him.
I was one of those in our mock draft. I remember you saying that he was, he's they have too many other weapons now, and that they focused too much on him last year. So, I mean, people when they go into a draft, they look at the last year, and that's what they judge it by, and that's how they draft guys. So there's a little bit of predicting going on in terms of, can this carry over? But mainly everything you judge your draft based on is, I'd say, at least 60 to 70% based on last year's production. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So he was incredibly overused in that offense last year, and they knew it, and so those numbers are what people were drafting him on. So they expected him to say they expected him to have similar numbers. So that's why I would believe that his value, or his draft, he was drafted higher than what he's valued at. And you made the right call. I mean, you said he was due to fall off, and Arians, I think, he came out and said this year that we will use him less, because when their offense was going through him, it was not the offense that it is today. It's a much better offense today, and they're leaning more on Ellington and other guys on that offense, and you see the results.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like bad process, bad situation, but good results. And I have that problem in another league. Like, it's a receiver motivated league, and I drafted Keenan Allen extremely high.
Same.
And it crippled my team, and I had to march him out every single week just because I had no other option. And I think that's the same thing with Fitzgerald. Like, he's getting started because there's no other option, and when he breaks out, it bails people out that have no one better to play.
Yeah,
that's quite valuable.
All right, so looking at
one more MVP is
Go for it.
DeMarco Murray. That's his 8th game over 100 yards. When will it end? When will it end?
What's nuts is that I'm telling you, if he wasn't hurt, Foster would be right there with him this year. The one game he didn't play because of a hamstring, he did not have 100 yards. Every other game through 8 weeks, he's had 100 yards. So as long as he stays healthy, it's sort of the same thing with Murray. As long as both of them stay healthy, I could see that continuing.
He's on pace to break the record, isn't he?
Yeah, by 4 yards, I think, right now. So he's on pace for 21:08, and the record's 21:04.
That is insane. He's had no games under 100 yards, and he's only on pace by 4 yards.
4 yards. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. They must have had multiple 200-yard rushing games.
Yeah, they must
or something.
have. Because these aren't 100 and a little bit of change. These are 141, 167, 136. So.
Has he had a 200-yard game yet?
No.
Has he come close?
Week 3, he had just 100. But no, his closest was 167 in week 2.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So looking ahead now, MVPs for next week. What are you looking at? Who's set up to have a Ben Roethlisberger type weekend?
I like Nick Foles at Houston.
That's getting a lot of love this week. I just want to point that out. His face is everywhere this week. I've seen that.
Foles?
Yeah.
I mean, he only threw for 400 yards last week. I know they could have struggled in the red zone a little bit, but Foles could have but he was playing a tough Arizona defense. Houston's has a good defense, but if you get them tired like the Steelers did, they could definitely open up for some yardage and some scores. So,
yeah, I second that. I'm not gonna say that he is my MVP for this week, but I just want to, since you're talking about Foles and there's a chance to talk about the Eagles here, I might as well hit you up on that opportunity.
Hey, you said you were done with NFC East teams.
Not my NFC. I meant other NFC East teams, not my NFC.
Oh, okay.
So, come on now. No, but Foles will be getting Sproles back too this week, which is something to consider. So that it just adds another dimension to that offense. And you get J.J. Watt, sort of focusing on the run game, and as long as Foles can just get the ball over the swatting arms, and I don't think he'll throw the ball as many times. What was it, 60 times last week? Some outrageously high number, but I still think he has the chance. Now that he's found Macklin, and he really broke out this week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. The Texans' secondary is not like their front seven, so it's a completely different story on the back end of that defense. So yeah, I think Foles is due for a big game against them. But someone else that is, I don't know. I sort of think that this is going to be crazy, and Max, you may sort of laugh at this one. I think Kaepernick is going up against Seattle this week, and he had a week to sort of sit back and rest up a little bit. And what's that?
St. Louis.
No, I know. So he's going up against St. Louis, who's the 28th ranked defense against quarterbacks this year. They're giving up an average of 20 points a game. And St. Louis has just struggled mightily over the last few weeks. They did all right, I guess, you could say they did all right against Kansas City. They didn't give up a passing touchdown, but in their previous 2 games before that against Russell Wilson and then back against Kaepernick in Week 6, they gave up 38 and 32 points. And this one is home for the Niners, so I will take Colin since he hasn't gotten much love on this show in a while. Next.
I will say it's going to be Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. One of those two is going to be a stud. I just don't know which one.
What? One of those two?
Here's hoping Peyton.
Because they're going up against each other. So,
I don't know, on that matchup, Brady this week was sort of talking about, he was getting all, sentimental and emotional about the matchup, saying, how these guys are old now. He talked about sort of how he's on the decline, talking about himself, not Peyton, and was sort of, really humble about the situation. Do you think he's sort of laying back? I don't know if you heard saw that his little press conference, but that's just the sense I got out of him when he was talking.
He's never asking him. Brady?
Yeah.
He's never been super arrogant. People just
I know he hasn't, but
he's never been. Yeah. He's always been like that.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah. I like Brady coming off that matchup or coming off last week's game. I think things are finally starting to gel. You got a healthy Gronk out there.
That asshole. Oh man.
Gronk skers.
He put up almost 40 on me.
Yep.
But all right, so that leaves you, Mark. Well, we know you, Andrew.
Okay. Drew Brees, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. At least one of those 4 quarterbacks will have a good game this weekend.
Is that your bold prediction?
No. Thanks for playing the straight man to my joke.
Look for Jam Chaz to have a good week. I know they held Buffalo last week, New York Jets, to, I don't even know. I think Booby Dixon had like 3 points, and I know Bryce Brown only had 1. But Jamal Charles is not Booby Dixon or
Booby Dixon.
Is that really his nickname?
That's his first name.
No.
That's what it says on Yahoo.
It's Anthony Dixon, I thought.
I think it's Anthony Dixon.
On Yahoo, he is listed on the roster as Booby.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well,
there's no good way to get that nickname.
No.
And he sucks, too. He's not even good. And so all you focus on is the nickname.
We spent so much time debating which Buffalo running back.
The Booby Dixon experiment lasted 1 week. He's already been cut. He's gone.
Oh man. Anyone? You got something else, Mark?
Well, I have real picks.
Real picks?
Yeah. We haven't really talked too much about how this is part 1 of Bimageddon. And there's a lot going on here.
6 of them this week. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's a good time to kind of like draw a line in the sand and just pick somebody that you think is going to be good, even if evidence doesn't like overwhelmingly support that. So I'm going to go with Shane Vereen, even though he lost all those carries last week. I just feel like against Denver, are they going to just give it to Gray? What's his name? Cyrus? John? I own him. John Gray?
Who is that? Who is that?
Gray, that running back.
He had like 89 yards rushing last
For who?
For New England.
Oh, that's funny. I have Denver's running back that I picked up today. I've never heard of, Juwan Thompson.
Oh yeah, the full.
Okay.
Rob, it could have been even worse, man.
I know. I was looking at you.
He had 2 touchdowns, ninja, vultured.
Yep.
But
It could have been terrible. Not that to say that it wasn't. I still lost by 32. Ridiculous. Lost by 32, and I put up 148.
But they're gonna put the ball in Varian's hands because they have to, right?
Brady's just gonna throw it every down.
That no-name guy that I've already forgotten his name, but I'll proceed to do about 5 minutes on him. They can't do that. And they have another nameless running back, White, I think.
Yeah, gray and white. Just drafting all the colors. Silas Red's coming up. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis.
They'll trade for Alfred Blue.
Alfred Blue. Shoot, is it trade deadline's up? Correct.
Yes, that was yesterday. Nothing really big happened. There was a couple. The Patriots made a move for, I think, like a cornerback from St. Louis or Tampa Bay, somewhere in there. There's some draft picks swapped as well.
Max, Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh was on the rumor mill. He was going to go to New England.
Dude, it seemed like everyone on the Bucs roster was on the.
So they're just going to be absorbed by another team.
You'll be then known as Doug Purple Martin.
Ridiculous. Oh man. So what? I'm gonna toss out the first matchup that I'm looking forward to. And Max, you may not like this one, but look for it's going to be a great one to watch. Is Arizona going up against DeMarco Murray? Arizona is the number 2 ranked defense against running backs right now. They haven't. Oh, this is where something's going to snap. There's a streak that's going to be broken this week. Arizona has not allowed a 100-yard rusher at all this year. So there has been not even like combined for a team have they given up more than 100 yards rushing. So something's going to have to give this week in that matchup. I wouldn't say necessarily avoid it because Murray has just been a workhorse, and if Romo is not in, even if he is in, they're going to be looking to just keep the pressure off of him and his back. So I don't know. I think he does it, but it's going to be a tough 100 yards, and I don't think it's going to be much more than 100 yards. So
yeah, it all hinges upon how healthy Romo is. How is he healthy? Is he 100%? If he's not, even if he's like 80%, they're going to hand the ball off more, which they should be doing already because Murray's awesome.
Crazy stat about them. When they give the ball to Murray 20 or more times, they're like so many, just a ridiculous record. And then when they give it to him 19 or less, they're like one in something over the last however many years.
I loved that they went 3 and out in overtime on Monday and didn't run the ball once. There's 3 passes, 3 incomplete. Or no, 4. Sorry, 4.
Unreal.
Yeah, he didn't see the ball. 4 passes. Boom, boom, boom. Game over.
Unreal.
Yep.
That's what they get.
This isn't fantasy related, but can we agree that Dallas is probably going to fall apart?
Yeah, as they always do in November. They do it every year. Every year they fall apart.
I'm ashamed to say. I feel like they're going to go to 6-6. They're going to lose 5 in a row.
I don't know if it'll be that bad, but
the schedule. I looked at the schedule. They play Jacksonville in that stretch. I think they lose that game because it's Dallas.
They are notorious for falling apart in November. It happens, and every year I'm like, oh, that's a dumb statistic. It's just no. Every year they fall apart in November. I don't know what it is, but it always happens. It's happened like every year in the Romo era.
It gets ugly too. Remember Week 17 last year? Their quarterbacks were Kyle Orton and John Ketna.
Yeah.
For the NFC East Championship on the line. That's what
boy. Oh boy.
It's unreal. Another one this is just something that's intriguing, maybe not necessarily fantasy relevant unless you're scraping the barrel for a quarterback. Mike Vick is getting the start for New York against his old coach Andy Reid and the Chiefs. That's going to be a hell of a game to watch. I think the Jets are just an atrocious mess.
They are a dumpster fire.
They're bad.
I don't know if you guys saw the Mike Francesa rant that he went on this week. I don't like that guy to begin with, but just to watch that rant was absolutely. I was sitting there giggling watching it just because of how angry he was. I was like, man, does it suck to be a Jets fan right now? It's just terrible.
How many turnovers do they have?
They each had 3. They each turned the ball over 3 times. And in the first quarter, in the first quarter, the Jets threw 3 picks.
Yeah.
Geno Smith, 3 interceptions in the first quarter.
One of those defense, baby.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was I checked the fantasy score at like 140, and I saw that Buffalo had 3 interceptions. Like, my day's done. I was like, that my day's done at that point when I saw Buffalo had like 30 points in the first quarter.
But
like,
what says a lot about the Bills is that game was close up until the end. That game was close with 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
I love that team so much because there's something about that uniform. When you put that Jets uniform on, that makes you just say, like, I don't care.
They're the new Browns.
Percy Harvin, it took 1 week for him to get corrupted.
Yeah.
He's catching a ball like 15 yards deep in the end zone, and he's like standing there thinking, like, my training tells me to take a knee and go to the 20, but nobody's gonna care. So I'm gonna go and try to lateral it, and then just fall down on the 2-yard line.
They are the new Browns. But that's what that uniform is cursed. It brings everyone down a level that wears it.
Unreal. So any other matchups you're looking forward to?
Chiefs D versus the Jets.
And one I love is San Diego versus Miami.
I actually want to get into that one, but I'm going to hold off until bold predictions.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm really interested.
That angers up the blood.
I am really interested to see Indianapolis Colts versus the New York Giants. The Colts, who looked good until they played. Well, hold on. The reason I say this is because the Colts, who looked like they had a really good defense and then allowed like 500, 600 yards of total offense, is going against the New York Giants, who can barely put up 100 yards of total. So it's going to be like the opposite of immovable force meets unstoppable object. You know, it's the opposite.
The opposite. That's good.
Amazing. So
the resistible force versus the movable object.
Yeah.
Does Oakland have a bye?
No, but Seattle does because they're playing Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland, now the rule is now start anyone against Oakland. You can also do Tampa Bay.
Max, I don't know if you're still looking at that eliminator challenge. Somehow I'm still alive, and my rule is take everyone against Oakland. I took Cleveland last week. Live to fight another week.
Nice.
Crazy.
They're I've been out of that eliminator pool for a long time.
I thought you cared how I did, so maybe you like in to see, is Martin eliminated? No, he's still going.
No.
Crazy.
Completely forgot.
So I guess that leaves us with bold predictions. And just 10 minutes before, 27 minutes to be exact until Game 7 starts. So we got some time.
17.
17.
Oh,
yeah.
17, not 27. You're right. So I guess to start, you mentioned San Diego and Miami. I know traveling out east this year, San Diego is 3-0. They have some pretty big wins, but they've also come against some pretty just terrible competition. Their only real game out east was, I guess if you want to call it, depending on what you think of the Bills, that was the real game out east. So they came out, they dominated the Jets. They had a game against Jacksonville, I believe, out east this year. And if I can find them, hold on. So they had Buffalo, Jacksonville out here. Oh, no, I lied. So they did just Buffalo. So Miami is only their second trip out east this year. For whatever reason, they don't strike me as a team that does well out east. And I know we talked about this last year when they had a stretch of like 3 or 4 weeks where they were out east 2 of the weeks or something like that. They kept traveling across country every week. I think that's this game this year. It smells like a trap to me. And my bold prediction out of all this babbling is that Tannehill outperforms Rivers. Is a better fantasy quarterback than Phillip Rivers this year or this week. I'm sorry, not year. not by a long shot. That would have been Mark. You can, if you want to write that one down, that's fine. But not for the year. Just this week, Tannehill outperforms Rivers. So
Very good.
Okay.
I got two quarterback ones. Brady Manning. They combined finish under 40 points. So that means on average 19 points each. So,
Fair.
and I will go with the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, coming back into his glory, top 3 quarterbacks this week. Week 9.
I like it.
I want to finish up with that Chargers game because I've been itching to argue the opposite side because I think Miami unceremoniously destroys San Diego. 17 points or more margin of victory.
Wow.
And I've turned on San Diego completely. I don't think their coaching is as good as I thought it was. I think they finished 8-8 and they're out of the playoffs.
Oh.
They're the new Denver Broncos. Get out of here.
They're injured and I don't like what I see.
Stop that, Mark.
So for anyone that watches this before Thursday, we got Saints and Panthers. What do we make of that? Both are 3-4. I'm sorry, Panthers are 3-4-1. So they by virtue of that tie, I guess they hold the lead in the NFC South. Do we think after that Sunday night performance, say the Saints are back? I know it was at home. This is a road game for them. What do we make of that situation?
I don't think Carolina's ever been there. So, like you said the Saints back. I don't know if they're back, but I know Carolina's never been there. So, I think Saints win that game. I think Jimmy Graham puts up 3 touchdowns. I think he sees what Gronkowski did and kind of gets motivated by that. Shows he's the top tight end in the league. So
I'm wildly confused by the Saints. I don't understand what happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I know you're getting Carolina. It's pretty clear what they are now. They're just like kind of bad. They're a little bit below average.
they're bad.
No. You just remember them. You remember them from last year.
I remember them from losing to the Steelers by like 34 points. They're bad.
Steelers might be good. I might be wrong about them.
Steelers are not good. Don't let them.
That's what they want you to think. But no, at least I know what the Panthers are. They're kind of bad. The Saints are just the rogue team that is sometimes good and sometimes bad. So I'm going to pick against them.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of them. The thing that really confuses me right now with them is that, I mean, it's the whole being on the road thing. That historically they just haven't been going on the road, and then just to go and put up 44 points against the Packers, I don't know.
I feel like that's a little overblown though. The home road stuff.
But are they?
No, not with the Saints. That's the only time when it's not overblown.
Yeah,
Really?
Seattle, or
I'd really like to see like the detailed stats on that because I know the perception is that.
Go read them. They're out there.
They're overwhelming.
Yes.
Okay, well let me rephrase then. Like, what quarterback isn't worse on the road? Like, what team doesn't play worse on the road?
Cutler.
No, like in general.
Cutler's stats are better on the road. Are really good on the road this year.
And then they just got demolished.
I don't know what I mean. Steelers are one of the teams that I watch the most, so I feel like we go on road games. I mean, Oakland has come into our house like for almost the last like 5 years, and we've lost to them. So we are definitely. I don't think it matters if we're playing at Heinz Field or what.
I mean, the Saints just won a road playoff game last year, and they almost won a second one.
Yeah, we're talking about regular season. Also, like that's the biggest body of work where you play equal games, road and home. So.
Trying to find their.
Well, you're looking that up. My bold prediction for the week: Minnesota dominates Washington, led by RG3.
So much.
What?
I hate you so much. Pick a fantasy.
Teddy Bridgewater, pick him up, start him. Teddy Bridgewater, top 10 QB this week.
Okay, thank you.
Teddy Bridgewater, top 8.
Top 8.
I'll go bold.
Teddy Bridgewater outplays RG3, and then that sparks the enormous Colt McCoy QB controversy.
All right, I'm looking at the splits. All right.
So
I have the. What do you have? I have some stats.
I got ESPN's splits. So
Okay, I have Breeze's.
the Saints. This year. The Saints are 3-0 at home, 0-4 on the road.
Small sample size.
Small sample size. I'm going back another year. Saints 8-0 at home, 3-5 on the road in 2013. Let's go to 2012. The Saints 4-4 at home, 3-5 on the road. So
See,
they
that's
are
not that bad.
that's still under 500. That's
Yeah, but they're under 500 in general. That's
2011 when they were 13-3, 8-0 at home, 5-3 on the road.
8-0 at home. Yeah, 8-0.
But I think all that proves is they haven't decided like home field advantage, but who doesn't? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're like a bad road team. I'm looking at Breeze's numbers now. In his career, he's played 98 home games, or 96 home games, 98 road games, 63-33 at home, 50-48 on the road. 500 on the road like, isn't really that bad. It's not like they're getting blown out. His completion percentage drops from 67% to 65. Touchdowns. His QB rating on the road in his career is 90.
Max, give me some names of quarterbacks that Teddy Bridgewater outperforms.
There's just that first game he played.
No, I was saying for this week, like you said, he's top 10, so that means that he's going to outperform Romo. He's going to outperform Flacco.
I'd say he outperforms Flacco. The ones that are going to be under him are the Brady, Manning. Rodgers is on a bye.
The thing I don't think the Washington defense is bad. They're middle of the pack is the thing. So that if you're saying Bridgewater is going to be top 10, that is a pretty bold prediction. But the funny thing about this matchup, actually, while we're on it, something I saw a really really odd symmetry to last year. Washington coming into this game last year was 3-5. They were coming off of a huge overtime win against San Diego. They traveled up to Minnesota week 9 of 2013, lost, and then did not win again the rest of the season. So they finished 3-13 last year after coming off of that overtime win. This year, they're coming off of an overtime win in week 8 against as a big underdog. They're traveling up to Minnesota. It's week 9. What's going to happen? So it's sort of something, just an odd situation that's playing out this year that will be funny to keep an eye on.
I got one more bold prediction. This is probably the boldest one I've done all year. Okay. 0 turnovers for J. William Cutler.
0.
0 turnovers, and I'm calling it. You can put it. I'll bet you anything on that. 0 turnovers. Because he's on a bye. This guy.
I still think he gets one.
I got one for you. I'm not going to have any turnovers when we step onto McCloskey Field at Duquesne University on Sunday.
Can't wait for it.
Just saying.
It's fun. It's going to be good.
Right.
People.
Well,
That's
unless
right.
anyone else has anything for the good of the order, I think that puts a good wrap, a nice bow on week 9.
It's 8 o'clock. Shift gears to baseball.
I'm changing.
Let's do this.
Instead
Let's
of doing
do
the
this.
thumb
Thanks
goodbye.
for joining us, folks. And if you're not, well,
No.
congratulations, San Fran or Kansas
Costume.
City.
We got a Spock. We got a Halloween.
Dressed up in the show. Where were your guys' costumes, huh? Live long.
I got the flash on. I don't know.
Okay, there you go. You just look like some stupid baseball fan. That's what you dressed up as.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you for week 10. We're getting into the double-digit weeks. Oh, man.
Oh,